Now, I want to go to the latest polling out of Victoria. It's clear the Victorian Liberals, well, they are still well behind Labor, and it's unclear whether the departure of Daniel Andrews will help the Liberals or not. On those numbers, if there was an election when that poll was held a couple of days ago, Daniel Andrews would have been re-elected. I know, I can't fathom it, but that's the truth. Joining me now to discuss this, former QNP, Shadow Victorian Attorney General Tim Smith, and former Labor MP Michael Danby. Gents, interesting, great to have you as former party insiders here. Tim, is there a path back for the Liberals now that Daniel Andrews is no more?
Yes, there is. On one proviso, that they get out of their own way and stop fighting with each other. John Pizzuto has to apologise to Moira Deeming, and Moira Deeming must be readmitted to the party room. Bill Tilley, my great mate, the member for Benambra, which is around Wodonga, has called on that course of action this evening. He said that the Liberals need to reset, just like the Labor Party.
So he's a current serving MP?
Yes.
And he's saying that his leader's got to mend this rift with Deeming and sort things out. Otherwise, it's going to dog them. Is that story? That's
exactly right. Bill's come out tonight and said the Liberals have to reset and have to heal. Now, the only way you can heal is by everyone saying that they're sorry and moving on.
Moira Deeming was a bit of a feature, actually, on the weekend at the State Council. The Victorian Liberals had their elections for president. They thought there was a shoe-in from a former state Liberal MP, but it got pretty tight, didn't it?
Well, it did. So Phil Davis beat Caroline Inge by only 11 votes. Now I declare an interest in 11 votes out of 850 people. Now I declare an interest in this matter. Caroline Inge worked with me for years. She's a great friend. 11 votes from a standing start. Now she's the federal vice president, but she ran on a platform that the party members' hard-earned campaign money must not be used in any legal litigation to defend the parliamentary leadership.
Is there a suggestion it will be? Because I've heard John Pizzuto on radio. He says, I won't use taxpayers' money, but he doesn't say that he won't use party money.
Well, I hope that's the case. But let's watch this space. But put that to one side. There was a resounding view amongst members on the weekend that that money should not be used for any litigation of parliamentary members. And we want to stop talking about this. We want to start talking about the new Labor leader, which I suspect will be Jacinta Allan, who is as bad, if not worse, than Daniel Andrews.
I might also say Moira Deeming is not using any taxpayers' money. Moira Deeming is not using any campaign funds. In fact, she's putting a bid out at the moment, defenddeeming.com.au, to raise money for her legal case. I think it'd be a shame if the party leader, John Pizzuto, was using party funds. We'll see what happens with that one. Michael Danby, everyone says that he ruled with an iron fist, that it was the Daniel Andrews party, it wasn't the Labor Party. Of course, the party famously went into administration. It has huge factional control. The talk tonight is that it is his protege, Jacinta Allan, who will get the top job. How does the party rebrand itself now away from the very divisive image of Daniel Andrews?
I'm not sure that it wants to at the moment. Dan Andrews is going to be successful in imposing his boilerplate socialist left ally, Jacinta Allan, as the next Premier. I think they're going to do a deal with someone from the right and have a consensus ticket. As your very capable Andrew Connell pointed out, this is against the Labor Party rules that this is being done this way. But if there's an uncontested ballot, they will argue that they can do it tomorrow. And Jacinta Allan sat with the Premier okaying the $1 billion spent on the road that was never built, on the games that was never held. And her record as Transport Minister in destroying small shopping centres like Swan Street, Victoria Street, Fitzroy Street and Ackland Street sort of makes her a very doctrinaire person, in my view, who wouldn't come down and see the shopkeepers, see what was being done to those centres. Go down to Fitzroy Street now. I'll take a film crew down there with you, Jacinta, and see all the meth addicts handing out and destroying what once was a beautiful village of St Kilda.
I'll come to you on that point in a moment, if I can, Tim. But just let's be very clear for people tonight. There'll be no vote at the Labor Party caucus for the new Premier. it'll be the factions, union warlords and all the other backroom types. They'll get to decide who is the new Premier of Victoria, isn't it? It'll be a stitched up deal.
Absolutely, and Dan worked long and hard for this effect. 7 people, I've spoken to political journalists, they've never heard of this. 7 members of the state caucus defected from the right to the left because they wanted to preserve their pre-selections. They'll all be voting for the consensus because they'll all want to keep their positions. This is the problem with Dan Andrews. He's imposed a socialist left government on Victoria, and it's going to continue, unfortunately, with his successor.
All right, just quickly, she is his protege, Jacinta Allan.
Yep.
Can she step away from her responsibility for the budget blowouts and the project issues and all the other things she's done as the number 2 to Daniel Andrews?
This minister was responsible for the delivery of the Commonwealth Games. This minister did not deliver the Commonwealth Games. This minister has been tied to Daniel Andrews' hip since they went into opposition. Way back.
No one will know this unless the Liberal Party get out of its way.
Yes,
that's your point.
And my message to my former colleagues is stop running a commentary on this Labor government. We all know it's bad, but for example, the 50 new and increased taxes of this Labor government, which one of them are you going to repeal? Why don't you start repealing, 10 of them, 11 of them? Have a point of difference with the Labor Party. Then you might generate some media and a point of difference and increase polling.
And you might win.
Yeah,
As
Sheridan said, can't do consensus the whole time. You've got to have some areas where you disagree.
Fight.
If you don't fight, you lose.
You've got to fight.
Gents, don't tell me about opposition. You've got to have a contest or you stay in opposition.